My name is Autumn Fisher. I'm 34 years old. I work in digital marketing, mostly helping mid-sized companies modernize their online presence so they don't look like they were coded during the MySpace era. It's stable. It's consistent. I'm not wildly wealthy, but I have savings, good credit, and the kind of life that doesn't wobble every time the economy sneezes. Apparently, that made me ideal. Ethan Cole is 31, my fiancé, or at least he was. He works in brand strategy. Some days it's content consulting. Some days it's lifestyle direction. Mostly it's mood boards and cappuccinos and talking about alignment. When we met at a mutual friend's birthday party, he asked what I was reading. I told him the truth. He laughed and said it was refreshing to meet someone who didn't open with crypto or a podcast pitch. He was charming, magnetic in that soft, curated way, the kind of man who looks like he belongs in a skincare ad but talks about emotional intelligence like it's a superpower. I thought I was lucky. He moved into my apartment 8 months later. His lease was ending. His roommates were toxic creatives. That was the phrase. I told him we could split rent and make it work. The split never happened. Rent day would come, and suddenly he was between contracts. Then his client delayed payment. Then his car needed emergency repairs. Then there was a billing error. Then his therapist recommended a weekend retreat he absolutely needed for his mental clarity. There was always something, and every time I said yes. Not because I was naive, because I loved him. He was affectionate, warm. He made me feel chosen. He told me I was steady, grounding, safe. That being with me felt like exhaling after holding his breath for years. I thought that meant something. Eventually, I was paying for almost everything. Rent, groceries, his phone bill, even the rescue dog he insisted we adopt because his energy felt heavy lately. I paid for the ring light setup for his content studio corner. I bought the backdrop he swore would elevate his brand identity. I told myself it was temporary. Relationships aren't always 50-50. Sometimes one person carries more weight. Maybe this was just my season. Still, I proposed. Yes, I did. It wasn't elaborate. No drone shots, no hired violinist. Just us, on the balcony, city lights below. I told him I wanted to build something steady with him, something real. He cried. He said I made him feel secure, like he could finally stop performing and just be. That should have been my first warning. Because once the wedding planning began, the performance intensified. Every conversation shifted into optics. Which venue would photograph best? Which aesthetic felt aspirational, but not try-hard? He showed me spreadsheets predicting follower growth based on wedding hashtags. He talked about leveraging the honeymoon arc. I smiled. I nodded. I paid deposits. And then one afternoon, everything split open. We were planning a trip to visit his cousin out west. I went into his iPad to check an Airbnb confirmation. I wasn't snooping. I barely knew his passcode mattered. The wrong tab was open. A group chat. His name pinned at the top. I didn't scroll at first. I didn't need to. One message sat right there. Autumn is basically my financially stable safety net at this point. I stared at it. My brain tried to translate it into something softer. A joke. Sarcasm. Context. Then I scrolled. 45 minutes. That's how long I sat there reading. Write it out, bro. She's safe. That's valuable. Secure the wedding, then reassess. If you get bored, you can always pivot. Pivot. Like I was a marketing strategy. They talked about the honeymoon, about how I'd obviously pay for it, about how stability was attractive but not exciting, about how men deserve adventure after they've secured a foundation. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I didn't throw the iPad. I just kept reading. Every laughing emoji felt like a fingerprint on my face. When I finished, I closed the tab carefully. I placed the iPad exactly where it had been. Then I went into the kitchen and started making dinner. Ethan came home an hour later, kissed my temple, asked what smelled so good. He wrapped his arms around my waist like nothing in the world was wrong. "You're quiet," he said lightly. "Just tired," I replied. That night, I lay next to him while he scrolled through venue inspiration reels. He showed me one with slow-motion champagne pops and white linen draping. "This could be us," he said. It already was, I thought, just not in the way you think. The next morning, he was in an unusually good mood, humming while blending protein smoothies. He even offered to help with groceries, Venmo'd me $40 after spending $120. I smiled. Inside, something fundamental had shifted. It wasn't rage. It was distance. 3 days later, he sat across from me at brunch, his choice, of course, at a place that charges $19 for scrambled eggs. "I found the perfect honeymoon location," he said, sliding his phone across the table. "Bali, private villas, open-air massages, couples yoga. The content would be insane. Content, I nodded slowly. Sounds perfect. His eyes lit up. I knew you'd get it. Oh, I got it. I just didn't think he realized what I understood. That night, while he live-streamed a skincare routine to 12,000 followers, I opened my laptop. And I stopped being his safety net. That night, while Ethan was in the living room under a soft ring light glow explaining the difference between dewy and glass skin, I was at the kitchen table opening a new checking account. Different bank, different password, no shared devices, no shared access. Just me. My hands didn't shake. That surprised me. I thought betrayal would feel explosive. Instead, it felt surgical, clean cuts, quiet precision. I moved 70% of my savings into the new account. Not all of it. I didn't want sudden alerts or questions, just enough that if anything collapsed, I wouldn't. Because now I understood something I hadn't before. He wasn't building a life with me. He was building leverage. The next morning, he was affectionate, almost glowing. "Babe," he said, leaning against the counter while I made coffee. "I was thinking we should document the engagement journey more intentionally, like a mini-series. People love watching love evolve." People. Always people. "What do you need from me?" I asked. He smiled, relieved by my cooperation. "Just consistency. Show up strong. You're the stable energy." Stable. I wondered if that's what safety nets call themselves when they're trying not to feel used. Later that afternoon, I stepped outside under the excuse of a client call and dialed the leasing office. Our lease had 2 months left. "I'd like to discuss early termination," I said calmly. There was a fee, there were conditions, there was paperwork. I agreed to all of it. And then I asked about transfer options. As it turned out, my cousin Hannah had been looking for a place. Real job, real credit, real references. Within 48 hours, the paperwork was in motion. Ethan had no idea. That weekend, he dragged me to a venue tour. Marble floors, massive windows. The coordinator talked about floral packages while Ethan filmed B-roll clips on his phone. "This lighting is insane," he whispered, angling the camera toward us. "We'd look incredible here." I smiled for the camera. Inside, I was already gone. That night, I opened a shared notes folder on my laptop and titled it Exit Plan. Underneath it, I started organizing. Screenshots of the group chat, payment records of everything I had covered, text messages where he joked to his friends about securing long-term stability. One in particular stuck with me. "Autumn's the foundation. Once that's locked in, I can breathe." Foundation, not partner, not wife. Infrastructure. I converted everything into a PDF. 47 pages. Cleaned, labeled, time-stamped. I titled it, For You with Love. Meanwhile, Ethan was deep in wedding aesthetics. He ordered matching linen shirts for his groomsmen, talked about curated bachelor content arcs, practiced slow-motion laughs in the mirror like he was rehearsing authenticity. 3 days later, at brunch, another overpriced cafe, he pulled out his phone again. "So Bali is incredible," he said. "Private villas, infinity pools, jungle views. It's not cheap, but it's an investment." "In what?" I asked softly. He didn't catch the edge in my voice. "In the experience, in us." I nodded. "Let me handle the bookings." He hesitated just long enough to look noble. "Are you sure? I don't want you feeling pressured." "You already did that." "I'm good at logistics," I said. He smiled, kissed my hand. "That's what I love about you." That night I kept the flight dates, kept the travel window, but I changed the destination. Instead of Bali, I booked a wellness recovery retreat in southern Arizona. No Wi-Fi, mandatory group reflection sessions, shared accommodations, vegan-only meals, digital detox. The testimonials were intense. One read, "I arrived attached to illusions and left with clarity. Non-refundable. I paid in full." Ethan rarely read fine print. He trusted the headline, the aesthetic, the vibe. Just like he trusted that I'd always be there. Over the next week, I began moving small things out of the apartment. Not dramatically. Not in a single sweep. Just quiet removals. A few boxes during his yoga classes. Important documents. Jewelry. Sentimental things. He didn't notice. He was too busy filming a morning routine of an emotionally aligned groom. The irony almost made me laugh. The final piece was financial separation. I removed him from automatic payment visibility. Shifted subscriptions. Canceled shared streaming access. Everything looked normal on the surface, but the foundation he thought he had secured, it was already dissolving. Then came the bridal shower, hosted by his friend Claire, the one who once told him, "You need a woman who builds you up financially and emotionally." White balloons, champagne flutes, scripted signs that read, "She said yes," except it was him. He was glowing, not spiritually, Strategically. He introduced me around like an asset. This is Autumn. She keeps me grounded. Grounded. Like an anchor. Or like something that keeps you from flying too far. I arrived late on purpose. Brought his favorite lavender oat milk latte. Kissed his cheek. You're going to be a beautiful husband, I said. He beamed. Mid-selfie with his friends, I slipped the envelope into his leather bag. No one noticed. I left before dessert. An hour later, my phone buzzed. Autumn, what's this envelope? I didn't answer. Another message. Where did you get these screenshots? Still nothing. Then the shift. You're taking this out of context. You know how guys joke. This isn't what it looks like. Oh, I knew exactly what it looked like. An hour later, you're overreacting. We're good. Just breathe. I texted back finally. You're right. I shouldn't have read it. He relaxed instantly. Even sent a heart emoji. That night, I checked the group chat again. She bought it. We're back on. Laughing emojis. Celebration. I screenshotted that too. Then I forwarded the full PDF to 2 people. His mother and his aunt, the one funding the catering. No explanation. Subject line. Before the wedding. You should read this. I turned off my phone and waited. Ethan left for his bachelor weekend on a Thursday morning. He was glowing. Not nervous, not reflective, glowing. I'm going to detox before the chaos, he said, zipping up a suitcase that held 3 outfit changes per day and an entire pouch labeled content. Just alignment before the next chapter. Next chapter. I kissed his cheek. Have fun. He didn't notice that half his closet was already empty. Over the previous 3 nights, while he was out at breathwork sessions and strategy dinners, I had moved deliberately. Box by box, document by document, memory by memory. By the time his rideshare pulled away from the curb, the apartment felt hollow. By noon, the lease transfer paperwork was finalized. By 3, the Wi-Fi was canceled. By 6, the mail was forwarded. And by midnight, the name on the apartment was no longer mine. I left 3 things on the dresser in our bedroom. The engagement ring, resting neatly inside its velvet box. A flash drive labeled, "From your safety net." And a post-it note in my handwriting. Just here to support financially. That's what foundations do, right? No yelling. No broken plates. No dramatic confrontation. Just absence. 5 hours later, the first message arrived. Autumn, what is this? I was already in my new apartment in the next town over. Small, furnished, quiet. No shared history in the walls. I didn't respond. Another message. Why is the lease office saying you terminated early? Then, why is my mom asking questions? Ah, so the envelope had opened. The next text came in all caps. What did you send her? I placed my phone face down on the coffee table and kept eating my takeout. It buzzed again. You are blowing this way out of proportion. It was banter. You know how guys talk. I imagined his mother reading the PDF, the timestamps, the phrases. Secure the wedding. She's stable. That's valuable. After that, reassess. I wondered if he was trying to explain banter to her. 30 minutes later, the tone shifted. Please call me. Then, Autumn, I love you. That one almost hurt. Almost. I turned off my phone. The next morning, it was worse. 23 missed calls, 9 voicemails, messages stacked on top of each other. My aunt pulled her funding. My sister left the wedding party. Why would you send this to my family? Because you were planning to send me to Bali and then pivot, I thought. Around noon, I received a message from Claire, the bridal shower host. I didn't know it was that bad. No emojis, no defense. Just that. The PDF had moved through the family group chat faster than Ethan could spin it. His mother, apparently, had asked one simple question. Is this how you speak about the woman who pays your rent? Silence, according to Claire. I imagined the heir leaving the room. That afternoon, Ethan attempted damage control publicly. He posted a 30-second reel. Black and white filter, piano music. His voice layered over slow-motion footage of him staring into the distance. Sometimes people misunderstand your heart, he said. Sometimes love collapses under pressure. The caption was longer. To those asking why the wedding is postponed, I'm choosing privacy. Healing isn't linear. The comments flooded with sympathy. But sympathy has a short lifespan when receipts exist. Within hours, 2 of the friends from that original group chat were privately messaging me. One said Ethan was claiming I had violated his trust by invading his digital privacy. Another said he was framing it as emotional manipulation, that I'd overreacted and weaponized vulnerability. Weaponized. I forwarded them screenshots. The ones where he joked about securing my stability. The one where he wrote, if she ever questions it, I'll just lean into emotional reassurance. One of them responded with 3 words. He said that? Yes, he did. By the end of the day, Ethan's bachelor weekend had been cut short. Apparently, it's difficult to toast to your future when your mother is calling every hour asking if you actually respect the woman you're about to marry. That evening, someone, still anonymous, posted the PDF to a small local subreddit. It didn't go viral. It didn't need to. It was enough. One brand partnership quietly removed him from an upcoming campaign. A scheduled sponsored post disappeared. His emotionally aligned groom series stopped midweek. Then came the honeymoon. He still went. Non-refundable. The Arizona retreat didn't care about broken engagements. I followed the location tag out of curiosity. Shared bunk beds. No Wi-Fi. Group reflection circles. A photo posted by the retreat facilitator showed Ethan sitting cross-legged on a woven mat, journal open, eyes closed. The caption read, "Sometimes clarity arrives when illusion dissolves." I saved it. Meanwhile, I booked a ticket to Iceland. No content plan, no narrative arc, just a flight. On what would have been our honeymoon week, I stood at the edge of a glacier. Cold air biting my cheeks, steam rising from a distant hot spring. No ring, no performance, just silence. I posted exactly one photo. Sunglasses, beer in hand, wind tangling my hair. Caption, "Financially stable safety net, currently unavailable." I turned off notifications. 3 days later, a message came through from a burner account. "Autumn, please." I stared at the typing bubble. I made a mistake. I was insecure. You were the only real thing in my life. My thumb hovered over the keyboard. For a second, I almost typed back. Almost. But then I remembered the word pivot, and I closed the app. Because some people don't lose you in a dramatic explosion. They lose you quietly, in a group chat. And by the time they realize it, you're already gone. I thought Iceland would be the final chapter. It wasn't. 3 days after I got back, there was a knock on my new apartment door. Not polite, not patient. A pounding. I wasn't expecting anyone. I froze for half a second, then walked toward the door slowly. I didn't turn the lights off. I didn't hide. I looked through the peephole. Ethan. Same jacket from the Arizona photos. Hair unstyled. Dark circles under his eyes. He looked smaller somehow. Less curated. He knocked again. Harder. "Autumn," he shouted. "I know you're in there." I didn't move. "I just want to talk." The hallway amplified his voice. A door down the corridor cracked open. My neighbor, a retired man with permanent reading glasses, peeked out. Ethan ran a hand through his hair. "This isn't fair. Not fair." I leaned against the wall, arms folded. My phone sat silent on the kitchen counter. I had already changed my number the day I moved in. He must have gotten the address from someone we knew. Or maybe he followed me once before the break. It didn't matter. What mattered was this. He was standing outside a door he no longer had access to. He knocked again, softer this time. "Autumn, please. I messed up. I panicked. I was stupid." His voice cracked on the last word. For a second, I felt the old reflex rise, the one that wanted to comfort him, to steady him, to fix it. But I stayed where I was. "You didn't even give me a chance to explain," he said. I almost laughed at that. Explain what? How I was a long-term investment. How he planned to reassess after the wedding. How emotional reassurance was a tool. He pressed his forehead against the door. I could hear his breathing now. Heavy, uneven. "I loved you," he whispered. Loved. Past tense. Or maybe he meant it in the present. I couldn't tell. My neighbor cleared his throat loudly from down the hall. "You good?" he asked me, even though I hadn't opened the door. I raised my voice just enough. "I'm good." Ethan straightened up. "You're just going to ignore me?" "Yes." He slid down the wall slowly until he was sitting on the floor outside my door. 15 minutes passed. I stood there the entire time, feeling nothing and everything all at once. Finally, he stood up. "This isn't over," he said quietly. Not angry, not dramatic, just hollow. Then he walked away. I waited another 10 minutes before I moved. When I checked my email later that night, there were 2 new messages. One from his mother. "I am deeply sorry for my son's behavior. You deserve better." The second from his aunt. "The catering contract has been terminated. Please know I admire your restraint." Restraint. That was the word people kept using. No one called it revenge. No one called it cruelty. They called it restraint. Over the next week, Ethan tried one final strategy. He posted a long-form video. No music this time. No aesthetic lighting. Just him on his couch. "I made mistakes," he said into the camera. "I let immaturity and ego cloud something real." He didn't mention the PDF. He didn't mention the words he used. He framed it as fear of commitment, as insecurity, as growth. The comments were divided. Some people praised his vulnerability. Others weren't convinced, because the screenshots were still circulating. Not viral, not explosive, just present. A quiet stain that wouldn't wash out. One of his former friends messaged me privately. "He's saying you blindsided him." I typed back one sentence. He blindsided himself. After that, the messages slowed. No more burner accounts. No more apologies. Just silence. The kind of silence that comes after a building collapses and the dust finally settles. I started noticing small things about my new life. The way my apartment stayed clean. The way my grocery bill dropped by almost half. The way my bank notifications felt calm. No unexpected charges, no vague subscriptions, no last minute, "Can you cover this?" I wasn't someone's safety net anymore. I was just stable. One evening, as I was organizing files on my laptop, I opened the original PDF again. 47 pages. Every timestamp, every message. I hovered over the delete button. Then I closed it instead. Not because I needed it, but because it reminded me of something important. Love isn't proven by how much you're willing to carry. And stability isn't something you owe to someone who sees you as infrastructure. 2 weeks later, I got one final message. Not from Ethan, from his sister. He's moving back home for a while. Says he needs to rebuild. Rebuild. That word felt poetic. He wanted to build a brand on my foundation. Now he was back at the beginning. I didn't respond. Because here's the thing about being someone's safety net. They only notice you when they fall. And by then, you've already stepped aside. The last message I ever received from Ethan didn't come with an apology. It came with an invoice. Not literal. Emotional. 3 weeks after he showed up at my door, he sent a long email from an address I hadn't blocked yet. Subject line, closure. I almost deleted it without opening it. Instead, I read it once. He wrote about fear, about self-sabotage, about how men sometimes test the strength of what they have because they're afraid of losing it. He said he never meant the words in the group chat, that it was performance, that he was trying to impress his friends. He said he felt small next to me, that my stability intimidated him, that joking about using me made him feel powerful in rooms where he otherwise felt insecure. There it was. Power. He ended the email with a question. If I do the work, is there any version of the future where you'd reconsider? I closed my laptop slowly. The answer wasn't anger. It wasn't revenge. It was clarity. I didn't respond. That silence became my final message. Meanwhile, the ripple effects continued. His mother sold the wedding decor she'd already purchased. His aunt redirected the catering deposit to a charity. Claire, the bridal shower host, quietly removed every photo of us from her social media. Ethan's online presence shifted from aspirational to reflective. Long captions about growth, about accountability, about rebuilding trust. But something was missing. Engagement. The likes dropped. The comments thinned. The illusion had cracked. One afternoon, I received a message from an unfamiliar number. "Hey, I'm someone Ethan dated before you. I just wanted to say thank you." I stared at it. She said he had told her similar things, made similar jokes in similar chats, framed commitment as strategy. "I thought it was just me," she wrote. It wasn't. And that realization settled something in me that I hadn't known was unsettled. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was a pattern. I blocked the number, not out of anger, but because I didn't want to become part of a support group built around him. I wanted my life to be about me again. A month after everything collapsed, I walked past the cafe where we used to have brunch. $19 scrambled eggs. Curated light. I sat at a table alone. Ordered coffee. Paid with my card. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I was financing someone else's dream. I was just existing. Peacefully. My phone buzzed once while I was there. A notification from a travel app reminding me to review my Iceland trip. I smiled. 5 stars. Beautiful, quiet, worth the investment. Investment. That word didn't feel heavy anymore. It felt earned. Later that evening, I opened Instagram out of idle curiosity. Ethan had posted again. A photo of him hiking somewhere local. Caption about humility, about rebuilding from the ground up. The comments were polite, supportive, but smaller, quieter. The algorithm had moved on. So had I. I didn't block him. I didn't need to. He no longer had access to me, in person, financially, emotionally, or digitally. The safety net was gone. And here's what no one tells you about being someone's foundation. When you remove it, the collapse isn't loud. It's slow, structural, irreversible. I closed the app, turned off my phone, and made dinner in a kitchen that only echoed with my own footsteps. No performance, no audience, no one calling me stable like it was code for convenient. Just Autumn Fisher, 34, financially secure, emotionally aware, unavailable for withdrawal.